Hi everyone, I'll just give this a couple of minutes for people to be able to tune in. Got a couple of updates about some stuff, especially new people going on the card in Hinkler and the problems that are coming up straight away. Rent again. So I'll just wait for the notification from Facebook to show that I'm live and see if there's anybody out there. Waiting. Alright, well I'll do this anyway. I'll just start and update from WA. Rachel Seward has just been up in the Senate and really done a really kick-ass response to the minister, calling out the minister to let somebody off the card because of the situation they've put this woman in with her children. Yeah, Rachel gave it to him. She really did. That was really good. That we'll have that video up as soon as we can get it, and we'll post it here, because yeah, the issues are rent issues again. Rent, denying people rent. You know, being able to pay their rent. So over the last couple of days, we've got new people that are going onto the card in the Hinkler region. And we've got one person who actually moved out of Hinkler 5 weeks ago and then has all of a sudden been given the card, right? And they've left, the person's left a comment here. My daughter tried to set up her housing limit. The guy said, yes, no problem. It's all done now. I can see your lease. No need to upload it again. She gets a phone call 20 minutes later saying that they're rejecting her housing limit. She can't pay rent any other way except for direct debit, as it's what was agreed by her agent. She has no other option but direct debit and can't change the direct debit to come from her Indu account. Today, I had to put $170 into her account just to cover her rent this week. This is a parent, okay? Services Australia are flipping useless, and everyone she speaks to belittles her and talks to her like she is stupid. She sent me the opt-out forms to print out and to fill out for her because she doesn't understand what they want from her. She left Bundy 5 weeks ago and signed her lease and moved into her own place. Now she can't even pay rent, right? And now she's on it. You know what I mean? This is just getting ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? She wasn't on the card before leaving, but left and is now on it. And so the video, sorry about the tweet, the video is about to go up of Rachel very shortly, so that'll be coming up very soon. They're making life stressful for her and for us. So this is what happens. It ripples the whole family. Do you know what I mean? It's just disgusting what they're doing to people, and it's driving me nuts too. We can't afford to pay her rent each week as well as our own expenses, and I'm still raising 3 kids and working. This is disgusting, and shame on the government for putting people's families in financial risk, expecting parents to cover the rent because they won't let their young adults pay their own rent, right? This is just not, it's just not right. Excuse me. This is just getting ridiculous. So, Rachel, you'll see in Rachel's video, she's changed the name of the person for privacy reasons, but you may recognise the story. Rachel's gone to town on because certain person from that certain small town in WA, as of today, when I spoke to her on the phone, she still can't pay her rent. 6 weeks now. Okay. Not good enough. Not good enough. And the only thing that saved her bacon, and we have to say thank you to the National Homelessness Collective. Again, Donna stepped in and paid up 4 weeks of rent for her, and the lady has been using her cash portion. Oh, they just won't let her have a housing limit. You know, and it's like she can't use the card in the town she's in. She can't use it on the bus. You can't get cash out in the town she's in. She's got a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 9-week-old. Hello? And she escaped domestic violence on top of that. And yeah, so I am just, it's driving me nuts. We do have some good news, and it offers hope to everybody. And the reason why we say get the senators involved, but do your opt-outs. If you're on the cashless card, do your opt-outs. And if you get rejected, appeal and appeal and appeal, okay? Do not give up, because, right, as you can, you would have seen today, Bill Kinner posted to No Cashless Debit Card Northern Territory page. He was originally put on the card in Kalgoorlie. Today, it went to an AAT tribunal, which instantly overturned his opt-out rejections and found in his favour to get him off the card. So now he has to wait, because they have a certain amount of time to appeal the decision, and it'll decide whether they take him off the card or he goes and gets a lawyer. That's the next step. We have 2 people who've made it to AAT tribunal who have had their opt-out rejections overturned, are now waiting to go through the process to see whether they're going to need to get a lawyer or whether they're going to get let off the card, right? And yes, they will be able to get legal representation to do this, okay? So that's the positive for 2 people. We've got a lady who, they're so desperate to put people on this damn card. We've got a lady who left Bundaberg just before the card rolled out. She was living in Brisbane, minding her own business. 7 months later, they put her on the card just as she was about to move to Sydney. She fought like hell and she got off the card, right, November last year. Okie doke. And then last week, or what day are we now? Yeah, last week. She gets a phone call from Services Australia. She's now living in South Coast, New South Wales, saying that they're putting her back on the card. What? So we have to say thank you to Federal Labor MP Fiona Phillips for stepping in and assisting that person to try and stop this going through, because this is just not fair. This is not fair. 2 weeks ago, I had a young 19-year-old mum in my house, right here in my kitchen, right, that they're trying to put on the card, and she lives at Owenilla in the Wide Bay. If they put her on that card, they will make her instantly homeless with her child. She's just got out of a DV situation. She's lost everything. She's lost her job, her home, her car, and everything, right? She has some bills that she has to pay, and she has a cash rental, which is temporary till she can get somewhere. But if they decide to put her on this card this week or next week, and they tie up her money, she will not be able to pay any of her debts that she needs to do, and she won't be able to pay her rental, and she will be instantly in strife. Big strife. Do you know what I mean? This is a lot to put on a young mum, and it's not fair to do this, especially when that person is fleeing domestic violence. Again, all these people have fled domestic violence or suffered domestic violence. Yeah, this card is just, it's got to go. So, yeah, I'll keep you informed as I find out more from other people. With the AAT tribunal stuff, it's a waiting game to find out which way the department's going to go. Whether they're going to appeal these decisions that the AAT is upholding in favour of the card holders that have made it there, or whether they're going to drag it out and go to court. Right? That's up to the department to do that. Whether they want to do that, I don't know. I hope that whichever way, these people need to get off the card. They have to stop this. They gave millions in the budget for DV. So if they gave millions in the budget for the DV, right, Liberal states like South Australia have just defunded Catherine House, right, which is the most successful women's shelter in the state. They've just defunded the Vinnie's shelter, the alcohol detox centre, and another couple, because they're going to regroup with a different conglomerate of services, and the best services that have been going for like 30 years in that state that have been really successful, 95% success rate in getting women and children back into housing and stuff like that, is being shut down in July. All right, funding's gone. So I don't trust the government one little bit. None of us should. It's all going to be announcements. Let's see what actually comes to fruition. You know, it's like the bushfire. We've got $4 billion. Not one person's seen a cent of that. And how long ago was the bushfires? Still got people living in tents on their properties. So I'm sorry. I don't trust this give millions in the budget for domestic violence, right? Because at the moment they are attacking all the state governments. The LNP are cutting all of the domestic violence services, right? And all of the support services. So, for instance, in the Northern Territory, there's a domestic violence service and a healing centre. This is something that non-Indigenous people actually don't even really talk about. A healing centre, right? It only requires $1.2 million to keep going, and yet the government's throwing $44 million to roll out the cashless debit card and defund that domestic violence and healing centre. Whoop-de-doo. That's not supporting DV. So I don't believe anything at the moment, and I haven't had time to go through all of the announcements, and we will pull it apart as well. But just remember all the other announcements that go back 7 or 8 years. People are still waiting, still whistling, right? So yeah, it's disgusting. And yeah, Julie Collins says here, how long will it be before we see LNP mates opening up centres for domestic violence? Oh, well, of course, somebody's got to have their fingers in the pie. They've got to make some money, don't they? Meanwhile, NRAS housing is gone at the end of this month. I believe in South Australia, that's about 4,000 families that are impacted that will be out on their ear in the middle of a housing crisis, right? And God help anybody who's on a cashless debit card, because word has got around that rents don't get paid properly. So owners are turning around saying, we don't want to rent to people on the cashless debit card. It's nothing about the person. They're not discriminating against the person, right? You can fully understand their attitude. When the rent doesn't get paid, the mortgage doesn't get paid, the owner gets a default fee from the bank. It buggers up their credit rating too. And the owners are getting sick of it. I've got another lady in WA, and her owner will not put her on the lease because she's on an Indu card. He's been straight up honest with her. Indu made her homeless while she was pregnant. She couch surfed and bounced between family. And the only reason why they've approved her to get some access to some cash to pay some portion of rent is because she had to have a cesarean section, and she has to have somewhere to be for the next 6 to 10 weeks, right? But other than that, she'd been bouncing around most of her pregnancy, couch surfing, and the reason given for her opt-out is you are at risk of being homeless after they'd made her homeless. It's like, by denying people the ability to pay rent, you make people homeless. And of course, they've got their fingers stuck in their ears and they're denying it all, but it's not going away. It is not going away. I've got Sophie in Geelong. They made her homeless from Buxton in Hinkler, right? They wouldn't let her pay her rent. She ended up losing job opportunities. She lost her whole life up here, ended up moving down south. And they've almost tried to bugger up her new premises, but she's sorted that, I think. Right? Still fighting to get the rent sorted out, of course. Rent, denial of rent, denial of rent, denial of rent. In some towns, denial of food. How do you go? You know what I mean? Can't pay childcare fees. Can't do this, can't do that. It's getting beyond a joke. Absolutely beyond a joke. And it's funny, some people can pay car loans and some people can't. Don't know why, right? We've got people who have bought cars through Money Free. Some people can do the payments directly through Indu. Others have to use their cash portion. And another sneaky little thing they're doing, if you've got something set up like a car loan, because we did have people lose cars at the beginning because Indu would not release cash, and the finance companies these people had their cars through don't deal with Indu, right? So now what they're doing is they let the person have the cash to pay the Indu, the car loan, out of their money. How kind of them, right? But then they deny them the access to the $200 every 28 days. I mean, hello? A car loan is a bill. The idea is you should be able to use the card to pay your bills, right? But the minute they do approve the extra cash for you to pay the bill, right? It's not extra cash anyway. It's part of your payment that they've stolen, right? Coercive control. It's part of the 80% of your income that they've stolen, right? But they want it kept in the bank no matter what. Or in their bank, I should say, in their bank. You know, because that 80% is Indu's money now. And don't forget it, it is Indu's money, right? And it's like, you know, so people can pay, but you've got to either pay out of your cash portion for your car loans, or if they allow you the extra cash access, then you are denied access to that $200 every 28 days for your personal usage. Isn't that cruel? Isn't that just so tight-assed, scummy thing to do to parents and to people? Oh, well, we'll let you pay your bill, but you have to forego your $200 every 28 days pocket money, basically. And I've heard from the new people being put onto this card, the staff are being very condescending, very rude, upsetting people already, right? And reducing these youngsters, because these are younger people this time round, to tears on the phone. And now we saw today that Indu are looking for staff up at Bundaberg for another contract, for a temporary contract. They're looking for a team leader. All right? It's disgusting. And a lot of their staff at the moment, apparently they've got new staff that haven't been trained properly, have been denying people stuff, and just saying, no, you can't have it. And it's like, what the hell's going on? And Ruston, you need to get your staff in order, and you need to get these issues. 6 years of people not being able to pay rent. 6 years of making families with children, small babies, homeless. Pregnant women, homeless. 6 years of abuse. 6 years of financial abuse, financial torture, right? And rendering people homeless, right? As I speak right now, even though the gentleman that went to the AAT and has won his appeal through the AAT, tonight he's homeless. Thank you, Indu. Well done. Another one. They also buggered up his financial credit rating through the Commonwealth Bank, because prior to being forced onto the cashless debit card, he had a loan. They wouldn't let him pay the loan, and now his credit rating and his good name is stuffed. And he's not happy about it. And I can tell you now, he's not a young man. He's on a disability support pension. He's not happy about it, and he's going to pursue this. And good on him. They are destroying people's lives. But I say to card holders, hang in there. Appeal every opt-out. Contact your senators. Larissa Waters, Anthony Chisholm here in Queensland. If you're in WA, Rachel Seward's office, Senator Sue Lyons' office in WA, right? If you're in Northern Territory, Senator Milandari McCarthy, right? And if you're in South Australia, you've got Senator Hanson Young, you've got Senator Penny Wong that can help, okay? So please contact your senators. They have access to be able to help you. And then also you can make formal complaints. Make complaints. Now, another thing for the new people, especially, keep a journal, keep a diary, and make sure you I'm going to put it this way. You can't use anything in public, okay? But you need to be able to document everything, right, on a timeline. Get a journal and write everything down. Keep every email, everything, right? Because if you want to fight this, you need to have all your ducks in a row as well. Okay? We're here. We're happy to broadcast what's going on to the public. I'm not going to shut up, and I'm going to stand up for card holders all the time, right? People are welcome to ring me. They're welcome to come to my home if that's what it takes. I'm not afraid to have card holders come to my home. I will always help people, right? I can't do it for you, but I can help you to go and do it, and you've got to get proactive. And to the newbies coming on, there's going to be tears. But when you have those down days, you pick yourself back up and you start again, okay? And just hang in there. There's hope. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. We'll keep fighting. You know, because this is not good enough. They are not keeping women and children safe. They are destroying whole families' financial futures, right? I mean, it is hard enough when you leave a relationship to try and get financially autonomous. That takes time. To get on your feet, right? And that sort of thing. It is so hard. But this impacts mostly single parents, okay? And once your credit rating's screwed up, it's like screwed up for 10 years. You know, for 5, 7, 10 years. These people have had it all destroyed and now they've got to start again and rebuild. But they've lost their credit ratings. They've lost their rental histories. This is supposed to be a trial. A trial does not bankrupt you. A trial does not hurt your mental health. A trial does not push you off a cliff. Right? A trial does not kill you. In some cases, it's killed people. All right? A trial does not interfere with your living and your ability to make decisions like this one is doing to people. So the human rights issues, the legal problems, you know, not good enough. So I'm going to go because my phone's got to be charged up. It's been busy again today. I just thought I'd give you an update. And as you can tell, I'm a bit fired up because, you know, I think we've had 3 or 4 in the last couple of days that are new people that are going on the card. One person, her husband works full-time. She's expecting a child, and she wasn't aware of it, you know what I mean? I've got at least 2 people that are out of region that are being put, one's being put back on a card, one's just been put on a card. Actually, I've got 3, 2 straight up out of region being put on the card after they've moved out of a region, right? That's not good enough. It's just not good enough. They're jeopardizing women's safety. We are in a housing crisis. We have women and children that are not impacted by the card all over the country, sleeping in tents, sleeping in cars, sleeping in hotels, sleeping in motels, applying for 100, 150 houses and can't get anywhere. There's no public housing, there's no emergency housing, and the shelters are full and they're shutting down the funding for the shelters in the Liberal states, right? They're pulling the rug out under states by underfunding, and this is just an absolute nightmare. And it's like the perfect storm. How many people do you want homeless, Anne Ruston? Where is your safety from the coercive control? How are you supposed to keep people safe when your department is leaking information to predatory exes all over the show, exposing where people are? I'm sick to death of this control mechanism that is damaging people. And yeah, the domestic violence issues, the safety issues, the coercive control issues, the legal issues, the human rights breaches, the damn right, just belting people with a stick, right? People who can't afford to do anything and can't fight back. Well, it's bloody cruel. And the people on disability, okay, now that they're putting people back on the card, on ones that got off before, please somebody tell me the logic in putting a 65-year-old lady back on the bloody card when in 18 months' time she's going to be applying for old age pension, but she's told she won't automatically get off the card when she goes onto her old age pension. She will have to apply to go off the card. I smell a rat, don't you? I smell a rat. Because in Ceduna, the age cut-off is pension age. So the day that she qualifies for her age pension, she should be released from the cashless debit card. Oh no, you're going to have to apply to get off. Why? Why? Why is somebody who's going to be transitioning to age pension have to put in an opt-out application to do so? Okay, let's go back 6 years. And I said the trial then of the 900 odd people at that stage, right? I said 6 years ago, they will try and expand these trials. They have done it. It wouldn't last for 12 months. They would expand. I also said they were coming for our kids. Well, they've done that. Youth allowance, job seeker. In Hinkler region, it's all under 36s. They're coming for our kids, right? Minderoo's statement wants everybody on youth allowance on it, and the Nationals want a national rollout of everybody under 36 on it, right? They're coming for our kids. I said that in 2015 and 2016. I made memes about it. I put it here on the national page. And everybody said, you're scaremongering. It's not going to happen. It's only a 1-year trial. Well, we're 6 years in, right? And look at it now. We have from Bundaberg, Harvey Bay, all the towns in between. Ceduna, Yellowton Community, Canoombla, all the APY lands, the goldfields, the entire goldfields and beyond, right? We have the Northern Territory, which is going to start being coerced to try and get people off of the basics card onto the cashless debit card. I said 5 years ago they would try this, where they would try and replace the basics card with the cashless debit card. Everybody laughed. No, no, it's only a 1-year trial, right? I hate being able to see the future like this because it drives me nuts. Because I knew they weren't genuine then and they're not going to be genuine now. When you tell a 65-year-old that she's going back on the card, she was part of the original trial where, believe it or not, under the original trial for Ceduna and Kununurra, the card didn't work anywhere as well as it does now. It was worse. It was worse. People couldn't pay any bloody bills. You know what I mean? There actually used to be a financial hardship exemption because they knew that they couldn't pay people's bills. But they removed that after the first extension. Okay? You know, but, I mean, the lady I'm talking about, she lived through the first 3 years of absolute shocking treatment, right? It cost her life savings to be able to stay afloat. She hasn't even been able to see her family. It's disgusting what this card has done to people. And she found a way to get off of it for a couple of years. And then, woof, as soon as this legislation went through, it was almost like payback from the minister because she was the first one back on it. And, you know, even in Ceduna, the Centrelink staff were almost apologetic because they really were embarrassed about having to inform her that she was going back on the card. You know, how do you tell a 65-year-old lady that she's got to go back on the cashless debit card again? You know what I mean? It's bloody cruel, and there's no reason for it. There was no reason for it, except for out of spite or to maintain a quota. This is all I can think of now is they've got to maintain a quota, right? India requires a quota because the rush to put new people on it now and to try and put it to so many that are out of region as well, any excuse to put it on somebody and any lie to stop people from getting off of it. Okay, the lies they've told on people's opt-outs. They're tripping up on them, right? What they've got. David Harrison says, will they come after all pensions? I'll put it this way. Cape York rollout that started in March doesn't have an age cap, mate. And for the first time ever, age pension was a restrictable payment for the Cape York. In all the other sites, age pension is voluntary. Well, voluntary unless you're identified as vulnerable, right? Then we can see some coercion coming in, okay? So the government will say, no, we're not going to make it compulsory for pensioners, but they've made it voluntary or for people who they deem vulnerable. Let's say now this is my opinion only, okay? This is my opinion, and this is my hypothetical, okay? The one time I'm going to use that word, because I hate it when ministers say to me, oh, it's hypothetical, what are you talking about? No, when I talk about what happens to card holders is real, not hypothetical. Right? But let me put it this way. If your adult son or daughter is on the card and your adult adolescent grandchild is on the card, and you're on the pension, right, and you love your family, you're going to help your family, aren't you? Now, they would see that as you might be being guilted or humbugged for your cash. So, therefore, you're vulnerable because the rest of your family's already on the card. So, you're vulnerable. So, it's a good idea if you volunteer for the card, okay? And that way you can keep your money to yourself and you're safe. That's the hypothetical way of doing it, okay? We don't know exactly how many age pensioners are already on this card. But no doubt we'll find out in Senate estimates and stuff like that, because Rachel's very good at asking questions, and so is Milindari McCarthy. And when the stats come out, we follow the stats. The DSS publicise their stats every month, and we get those stats every month. So we know exactly how many people on the card, which payment, how many on disability, how many on carers, how many on youth allowance, how many on ab study, OS study, how many parenting, stuff like that. We get those stats every month. I'm just really frustrated, and I feel really bad for the new people that are coming onto this. And it's like, the difference is now on the Hinkler page, there's a lot more card holders that can answer questions for the new card holders as well. But it's painful to see new people coming on that weren't expecting this at all, and it shouldn't be allowed. It's got to be stopped, and we've got about 18 months to stop it. If they get it through, if the LNP get in, we're all cooked. We're all done for. Simple as that. I don't care who you vote for. We have to have a change of government. The only way to do that, we need ALP in the House of Reps. We need the Greens in the Senate, right? And we need to get rid of the LNP in One Nation. That's the only way you're going to get rid of this card. And all of their other punitive policies and the way that they're treating the poor, the sick, the disabled, the aged, and the workers. Okay? We need a change of government. I'd rather have the alternative to, I don't want this government in anymore. They're killing us. They're putting us out on the streets. Look, Scott Morrison went to his whatever event it was and announced to all of his congregation, because this is his religious belief, that the churches and your community should be providing social welfare, right? Not the state or the government. And anybody who receives Social Security is immoral. Hello? This is not 1890, Scott Morrison. Right? We walked away from that ideology pre-World War II when the Depression hit. And after the war, Menzies decided we can't do that again. We can't have the poor on the streets unable to have housing, food, and medicine. Do you know what I mean? And that was Menzies. Okay? But Morrison is reversing all of this and undermining our system, white-anting our system, privatising our system. All right? And we've got the worst housing crisis since World War II. All right? Without a home, and it doesn't matter whether you're working or not now. All right? It doesn't matter whether you're working or not. If you're a low-paid worker, all right, and you don't own your own home, you're out there, you can get a no-grounds eviction just like that because the owner wants to put the rent up. One of the ladies that I'm dealing with, her rent was $900 a fortnight in Sydney. Of course, Indu stuffed up her rent a few times, right? But she got the eviction that you get when there's no reason for it, which is the common thing that they're using at the moment, because the owner wanted to put the rent up to $1,300 a fortnight. You know what I mean? So it was a no grounds eviction notice to get her out of the house so she could put the rent up $200 a week. That is happening across this country. But people on the cashless debit card have another barrier. It's called the cashless debit card because owners are starting to work it out, right? Oh shit, if I could take this person in, I've got to put up with the resets and the delays when it's declined, and it can be 4 days late or a week late or 6 weeks of having some poor person trying to fight to get permission to transfer money to pay rent, right? And as if you go through the videos here, you'll see Sophie. She went right off her nut the other week because she had $7,000 in her card. She can go and buy $5,000 worth of plastic crap at Kmart, but she couldn't pay her rent. Okay? And then the minister says, oh, look, people are saving. No, they're not saving. They're struggling while you've got money trapped on that card that's supposed to be paying their bills. And under normal circumstances, they wouldn't be behind. They wouldn't have lost their credit ratings. They wouldn't be in mental hell over this. Do you know what I mean? And even one of my admins, like they put 3 of my admins on Bundaberg on the card. One of them's still on the card up there, right? And she's got a job, by the way, but she's still on the card. My other admin in Kalgoorlie is a carer. Now they've come for their disabled adult charges, and her son's been put on the card, but the card doesn't go to her son, it goes to her. So now she has 2 Indu cards to manage and 2 ordinary bank accounts to manage to run their household budget. But then her mum, who's looking after her disabled brother, her mum's late 50s, is on the card, and she's looking after her disabled brother, and she's got to do the same thing. It's just crazy. And then I've got somebody else who's a carer of 2 disabled adult kids, and she's got 3 cards for them now with the change of nominee. She's totally confused because all 3 cards are in her name. She doesn't know which one's for which person's payment in the house. Right? Indu doesn't actually do any direct debits to pay. What they do is, Julie, is they give you a housing allowance in a different category, and you draw from that allowance back to your own account to pay your rent. So this delays, whereas normally you would have just paid your rent from your bank account online or gone and got cash out and paid your rent over the counter, right? In this state, you've got to get permission to redraw that money back from a separate category that it's locked in, okay? And what happens is it stuffs up because they've got it set on an American system, which is every 28 days. And you can't, hang on a minute, someone just threw me, because the way the rents are, you've got your rent assist, you've got your rent allowance in its category, and when you go to pay it, right, it's drawn back. So, yeah, you can set it up under the card number, but most people have to draw it back. It's so complicated because not every place takes Centerpay. Not every place takes BPay, right? And some private owners, you have to transfer it back to your own account to pay the rent that way. Others, you can use the card and the numbers on the card, but it's a nightmare. It really is. So, yeah. So, anyway, I'm going to have to get off because my phone's going to die soon. I've done my updates for now. I'll keep everybody informed. As you can tell, I'm pretty frustrated. Rachel's video is up on the page too. And, yeah, it's just crazy. It's just ridiculous. And we need to keep fighting. We need to keep fighting because when you've got a situation where young adolescents are paying board at home and they've normally just paid their parents out of their payment, now they've got to get permission and they've got to beg. And if they're not on the lease or they don't satisfy the right documentation, which means that mum and dad have also got to go in and hand over all of their bank statements as well. Oh, and it ends up, there's only so much grocery shopping you can do or paying other people's bills in lieu of rent. That's the workaround that people use. Paying other people's bills or buying the groceries for the household in lieu of paying your share of rent. But that can only go so far. You end up with cupboards and cupboards of food and the rent's still got to be paid. And yeah. Anyway, I'm out of here and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.